At 5 p.m. on January 29, 2026, 3 days late, Adrian Newey's first Aston Martin, the AMR26, finally broke cover at the Barcelona pre-season test. But it wasn't the iconic green livery that sent a ripple of shock through the paddock. It was the fact that within just 1 hour of its debut, the car's presence on track was marked not by blistering speed, but by a session-stopping red flag. After managing just 5 laps, the most anticipated car of the 2026 season was already in trouble, its best time a staggering 30 seconds off the pace. We need to break down what Aston Martin has built, and why this disastrous debut might be the most misleading story of the year. For a team like Aston Martin, which has invested hundreds of millions in facilities, personnel, and the singular talent of Adrian Newey, the 2026 regulations are everything. The AMR26 isn't just a car, it's the culmination of a 5-year plan and the physical embodiment of the team's championship ambitions. After securing Newey on March 3, 2025, and shocking the sport by promoting him to team principal, the expectation was nothing short of a revolution. This radical design is their big bet on returning to the front, but the central question is this: is the AMR26, with its extreme design philosophy and troubled debut, a genuine silver bullet that will leapfrog them ahead of the established frontrunners, or is it a desperate, overly complex gamble that is already beginning to unravel? To answer that, we have to look closely at the engineering choices they've made, starting with the radical details that define this car. Let's start with the overall design philosophy, which has been universally described by paddock observers as extreme, aggressive, and super aggressive. This is an Adrian Newey hallmark. His career, spanning over 200 wins and 26 championships, is defined by pushing regulations to their absolute limit, and the AMR26 is a pure distillation of that approach. The first images from Barcelona reveal a car that is a physical manifestation of risk. Our resident F1 technical expert, Gary Anderson, noted immediately that it's an Adrian Newey F1 car, pushing the 2026 concept to the limit. This isn't just about finding a loophole, it's about interpreting the very spirit of the new rules in a way no one else has dared. The 2026 regulations, with their emphasis on a 50-50 power split between the engine and electronics and the introduction of active aerodynamics, are a blank sheet of paper. Newey has taken that sheet and sketched a car that seems determined to explore the most complex and potentially rewarding design avenues possible. The most striking area, and the one that speaks volumes about Newey's priorities, is the suspension. He has opted for a pushrod configuration at both the front and the rear. A pushrod system, in simple terms, uses a compression rod to transfer forces from the wheel up to a rocker and then to the dampers and springs, which are located inboard, inside the chassis. This is in contrast to a pull rod system, which uses a tension rod to pull on a rocker located lower down in the chassis. For years, teams have debated the merits of each. Pull rod systems can offer a lower center of gravity and cleaner airflow to the rear of the car, but they are often more difficult to adjust and can compromise kinematic performance. Newey's choice of a pushrod system, especially at the rear, signals that he is prioritizing mechanical grip and platform stability over purely aerodynamic gains in that specific area. It's a statement of intent. The key detail, as identified by Anderson, is the high front top wishbone, with exceptionally wide inboard pickups. This means the upper arm of the suspension connects to the chassis at a very high and wide point. The goal here is twofold. Mechanically, it creates favorable geometry that helps control the car's tendency to dive under braking, keeping the aerodynamic platform stable. A stable platform is critical for the new generation of ground effect cars, as even minor changes in ride height can cause a massive loss of downforce. But more importantly for a Newey design, it's an aerodynamic choice. By mounting the wishbone high, it acts like a wing element itself, helping to direct air cleanly around the chassis and towards the all-important underfloor and side pods. It's a classic Newey trait, using mechanical components to serve a higher aerodynamic purpose. He isn't just designing a suspension, he's sculpting the airflow from the very front of the car. This philosophy is further reinforced by what appears to be a focus on low-drag efficiency. The 2026 power units will rely on battery deployment for half of their power. Running out of electrical energy on a long straight will be catastrophic for lap time. Therefore, being aerodynamically efficient, slippery in a straight line, is more important than ever. The AMR26's narrow bodywork and aggressive packaging hint that Newey may be willing to sacrifice some peak downforce in cornering for a crucial straight-line speed advantage, conserving precious electrical energy for when it matters most. It's a delicate trade-off, and one that defines the core challenge of these new regulations. Then there are the more mysterious elements, the details that are pure Newey. On either side of the main airbox, the AMR26 features two prominent horns. At first glance, these could be mistaken for rollover supports, but their shape and position suggest a more complex aerodynamic function. They are likely designed to condition the airflow heading towards the rear wing. By creating controlled vortices, tiny, swirling tornadoes of air, they can help energize the flow over the rear of the car, making the rear wing more effective and potentially allowing the team to run a smaller wing for less drag. It's an aggressive interpretation of the regulations governing bodywork in that area, and it's a solution we haven't seen from any other team in the early shakedowns. Adjacent to the driver's head, the car also features a series of vertical turning vanes. These are designed to manage the turbulent air, or wake, coming off the front tires and the halo, directing it away from the rear wing and diffuser inlets. Every single surface on the AMR26 appears to be working to manipulate airflow in a complex, interconnected system. This is not a car of isolated parts. It's a singular, holistic aerodynamic concept. However, this car is not the work of a solo genius, and that adds another layer of complexity and potential friction. In July 2025, Aston Martin hired Enrico Cardile, Ferrari's former technical director. As noted by Autosport, the AMR26 shows the fingerprints of both Newey's audacious, almost artistic philosophy and Cardile's more methodical, data-driven influence. While Newey is seen as the shortcut to victory, a maverick who can find performance where others can't, Cardile's presence suggests a move to build a sustainable technical department, not just a team reliant on one individual. The late arrival of the car in Barcelona, attributed to delays in integrating the new chassis, power unit and gearbox, hints at the immense complexity of this project. It's possible that the marriage of these two design philosophies, while potentially brilliant, has created a car that is incredibly difficult to manufacture and assemble. The genius is undeniable, but the execution is already showing signs of strain. What makes Aston Martin's aggressive approach so fascinating is how it clashes dramatically with the public-facing stance of their new power unit partner, Honda. While Newey's design team has delivered a chassis that screams ambition, Honda's leadership has been strikingly, almost shockingly, pessimistic. The 2026 regulations demand a near 50-50 split between internal combustion engine power and electrical power from the MGU-K, a monumental technical challenge. Honda's project leader, Tetsushi Kakuda, admitted that while electrification is progressing, it's not necessarily for the internal combustion engine. This is a cryptic but worrying statement, suggesting that their focus on the electrical side may have come at the expense of the traditional engine. More damningly, Honda President Koji Watanabe stated bluntly, "2026 regs are technically extremely challenging, and perhaps we will struggle." This is not the confident fighting language you expect from a works partner that has won championships in the recent past. It creates a stark contrast. A chassis designed for the absolute limit of performance, potentially shackled to a power unit whose manufacturer is already managing expectations downwards. This disconnect is perhaps the single greatest risk to the entire AMR26 project. While other works teams like Mercedes and Ferrari are projecting an image of seamless integration, Aston Martin and Honda appear to be on completely different pages. The competitive context provided by the Barcelona test is brutal. While rivals like Mercedes and Ferrari were racking up mileage, completing race simulations and gathering terabytes of crucial data, the Aston Martin garage remained closed. 3 days of lost testing is not a minor setback, it's a chasm. In modern Formula One, that equates to thousands of kilometers of running, dozens of setup configurations, and multiple race distances worth of reliability data. When Lance Stroll finally did get out on track, the result was a red flag and a lap time of 1 minute 46.404 seconds. To quantify that, it was over 30 seconds slower than the benchmark set by Mercedes on the same day. Of course, this was not a performance run. With only 5 laps completed, it was purely a systems check, an outlap to ensure the wheels stayed on. But it's a disastrous start. It speaks to a car that is, at best, fundamentally difficult to operate. Stroll's own words were telling. "We were a little bit late, but we made it. Formula One is not waiting for you." That quote perfectly encapsulates the immense pressure the team is now under. They have lost vital time they will never get back, while their rivals have a 3-day head start in the most important development race in a generation. The AMR26 is not just late, it's on the back foot before the battle has even begun. The team itself is projecting a message of resilience, but the insider perspective reveals a more complex picture. Adrian Newey's dual role as team principal and chief designer is a shocking development in itself. He replaced Andy Cowell, the architect of Mercedes' hybrid-era dominance, who now moves to a chief strategy officer role. The move is unprecedented in modern F1. Not since the days of Colin Chapman or Gordon Murray has a team's technical visionary also held the ultimate operational command. Newey has insisted his new title won't detract from his primary passion, stating, "That's really what I want to do and need to do." It's a bold, perhaps arrogant move that concentrates immense power and responsibility in one person. The risk is that Newey, the brilliant designer, could become bogged down in the political and logistical demands of being a team principal, diluting his unique talent. The technical department has been reshuffled around him, with Eric Blandin leading Aerodynamics and Akio Haga as chief designer, but the vision is singular. A Honda representative captured the dynamic perfectly, telling Planet F1, "Aston Martin wants cars that reflect Adrian's vision. We'll do whatever it takes." This highlights the immense faith and pressure placed on Newey's shoulders. The entire project is a bet on his genius. For the drivers, the stakes are intensely personal. Lance Stroll, now in his 8th season, needs a car that can finally elevate him from a midfield contender to a consistent podium threat. He has shown flashes of brilliance, but has yet to have a machine capable of truly challenging at the front. But it is for Fernando Alonso that this car represents a final, legacy-defining chapter. Now in his 23rd Formula One season, the two-time world champion is famously astute, not just behind the wheel, but in his technical feedback. He has called 2026 his last chance for more victories, hinting that he may retire if he can achieve success with this car. His experience will be invaluable in diagnosing the AMR26's teething problems, but his patience is not infinite. Alonso did not return to Formula One to run in the midfield. His feedback in the coming days will be the most critical data point the team acquires. He will know, perhaps better than anyone, whether the car's fundamental concept is sound. The cautious optimism typical of pre-season testing is absent here. Instead, we have a team grappling with production delays, a pessimistic engine partner, and a car that caused a red flag on its first outing. The mood is one of tension, not triumph. The strategic implications of this troubled debut are immense. If the AMR26's radical design is fundamentally sound, the lost testing time is a recoverable setback. The team can work to understand the car, unlock its potential, and become a threat as the season progresses. In this scenario, the aggressive design could prove to be a masterstroke, giving them a high development ceiling that rivals with more conservative cars cannot match. It would force other teams into a difficult position. Under the current budget cap, a mid-season pivot to copy Newey's philosophy would be ruinously expensive. It would mean writing off months of wind tunnel research, redesigning composite structures, and re-optimizing cooling systems. A process that could consume a significant portion of their annual budget and compromise their development plans for 2027. This is the high-risk, high-reward gamble Aston Martin has taken. They have essentially locked themselves into this complex development path. There is no plan B. However, if the problems are more fundamental, if the Honda power unit is indeed uncompetitive, or if the extreme aerodynamics create a car that is inherently unstable and difficult to set up, then the team is in serious trouble. The red flag on day one could be a symptom of a deeper malaise. It could signal a car with critical reliability flaws, perhaps in the complex integration of the new power unit and gearbox that caused the production delays. Or it could point to an aerodynamic concept that is too sensitive, a knife-edge car that works only in a theoretical wind tunnel, but fails in the messy, real-world conditions of a racetrack. In this scenario, the 2026 season becomes a painful exercise in damage limitation. Every race weekend would be a struggle to simply understand the car, rather than develop it. Newey's promotion to team principal would be scrutinized, the massive investment questioned, and Alonso's final chapter in F1 could end not with a bang, but a whimper. We are not just watching a new car, we are watching a high-stakes strategic gamble that could define the next 2 years of the championship. So, to answer our central question, is Aston Martin's new car a silver bullet? The initial evidence suggests it is a deeply flawed weapon, but one forged with radical intent. The extreme design is a bold statement, a declaration that this team is not here to copy the front-runners, but to obliterate them with superior engineering creativity. It is a car that could only have come from the mind of Adrian Newey. Yet, its success is far from guaranteed. The disastrous debut, the pessimistic engine partner, and the immense pressure of lost time all point to a project teetering on the edge of brilliance and chaos. This technical battle is just beginning, and it will evolve with every race weekend. What is your verdict on this design? A stroke of genius or a dead end? Let me know your analysis in the comments below. To get the deepest, most informed analysis on how this story unfolds throughout the 2026 season, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to bring 50,000 of us together for the most intelligent F1 conversation on the platform.